Hey everybody, we're going to work on our reteaching page to help us understand how to divide a unit fraction by a non-zero whole number. That's really quite a mouthful, so let's look at what that really means. Okay, so a unit fraction is any fraction that has 1 as its numerator. So a unit fraction is one that represents one piece out of the whole. Examples of unit fractions include 1/5, 1/3, 1/2. I'm sure you could think of lots more. These are all unit fractions. They represent one piece out of the whole. A non-zero whole number means any whole number that is not 0. So 0's not welcome in this case. If you try to divide any number by 0 on a calculator, you're going to get an error message. So if you try to do 2 divided by 0, you're going to get an error message. If you try to do 1/2 divided by 0, you're going to get an error message. If you try to do 1,000,000 divided by 0, guess what you'll get? An error message. You cannot ever have 0 as your divisor. And if you think about it, that does make sense because, like, let's say you have 2 cookies and you want to share them with 0 friends, so you put them in 0 groups. That doesn't make sense. So that's why we have to have a non-zero whole number, because we can't divide by 0. Okay, now whole numbers, we know what those are. Any number that's not a fraction or a decimal. In 5th grade, we start using the big fancy word integer to refer to whole numbers. Okay, let's look at this example. Remember, the best way to learn from a math video is to take notes as the teacher is modeling the problem. So whenever the teacher is writing, you should be writing as well. Pause the video whenever you need time to catch up. How can you model dividing a unit fraction by a whole number? Divide 1/3 into 4 equal parts. Imagine a situation in life where you might share something into 4 groups. You might have 1/3 of a cup of M&Ms and you might be sharing the M&Ms with 4 friends. You might have 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup and you're going to pour that 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup onto your 4 pancakes. Actually, I really like the maple syrup example because it's close to breakfast time for me right now. Okay, so here's my maple syrup. I have 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup. And I've made 4 delicious pancakes. If I pour a little bit of this maple syrup onto my pancakes, will I end up with less than 1/3 of a cup on each pancake or more than 1/3 of a cup? Naturally, I'm going to have a smaller amount on each pancake once I divide it up. So 1/3 divided by 4 is equal to 1/12 of the whole cup. Okay, and then the last step down here, it tells us to use multiplication to check the work that we've done. So let me come down here and show you that. Okay, I guess this would be kind of like saying, let's take the 4 portions of maple syrup that we put onto our pancakes and pour them back into the cup measure. We'd have 4/12 of a cup of maple syrup, which reduces to 1/3. And 1/3 is what we started with here in our cup measure. So if you can kind of retrace your steps with multiplication and get the dividend that you started with, then you know you've done it right. Okay, let's look at these next 2 examples. For number 1, we're going to take 1/2 and divide it into 4 equal groups. So if we stick with our maple syrup example, if we have a half a cup of maple syrup, shown here, and I pour it onto my 4 pancakes, what portion will each one of my pancakes get? Each pancake is going to get 1/8 of the whole cup. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup divided by just 2 pancakes this time. Here's my area model. Okay. Okay, I'm going to cut my area model into 4 equal pieces and then shade just one of them because I have 1/4 of a cup. And then I'm going to cut each 4th into 2 equal pieces. What does that leave me with? How much syrup will each of my 2 pancakes get? 1/8. Okay, now remember, the fast, easy way to solve these, if you want to do the most efficient way, is to multiply by the reciprocal. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to take 1/4 divided by 2. We're going to leave 1/4 alone, and we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 2, which is 1/2. 1/4 times 1/2 equals 1/8.